Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about managing communications. If you get more and more involved in activism and organizing, you will probably experience a lot more communications. You're going to be getting a lot of emails, WhatsApp messages, Signal messages, Facebook messages, and I've heard from a lot of people that this can become really overwhelming. So I wanted to give you my top 5 tips for handling all of these communications, how you can stay on top of them, and how you can create a little bit more structure and sanity when you're dealing with all of these different requests from people. So my first tip is that you should set aside a time or maybe 2 times a day where you check all of your communications. I think it is very inefficient and not very effective to just check all the time, all throughout the day, because you could probably spend your entire day just responding to WhatsApp messages and emails and you wouldn't get anything done. It is a lot more efficient if you set aside a specific amount of time, and that's where you go through everything. Your WhatsApp, your Signal, your email, all of it, all at the same time. This tends to take me at least an hour a day. I get a lot of emails and such, so that might be more or less for you, but I try to do at least half an hour in the morning and then like half an hour in the late afternoon to kind of keep on top of it. My second tip is to heavily use the mark as unread feature on WhatsApp and other apps that you might use like Facebook Messenger. It is really easy to like open a message and you read it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a thing that I need to do. Like I need to respond to that person. And then you get a bunch of other messages and then you go look at them and that message is just gone and there's no way that you're going to remember. You have to go back and look at it. And how you can do that is just once you've opened a message, if you haven't finished dealing with it, if there's anything left that you have to do with that message, mark it as unread. And I did not know how to do this on WhatsApp until like relatively recently, and it was a real game changer. So I'm just going to show you on your phone. If you have WhatsApp, ooh, you cannot see that at all. Okay. Anyway, what you would do is you would slide it to the right and then you get that. Sorry, this is extremely low quality, but slide it to the right and you can then hit mark as unread. You can also do it on Facebook Messenger and then obviously in email as well. I rely a lot on marking things as unread. The third thing that I would recommend is get rid of spam. So the obvious thing to do is just like unsubscribe from a bunch of email lists that are just spamming you. But this also applies to group chats. If you're not required or you don't really get a lot out of a certain group chat and it's just really active and it is wasting your time, just leave. You won't know what you're missing. You might have a little bit of FOMO for a bit, but you'll get over it. Get rid of a lot of the spam that you can. My fourth tip is to use the 4 Ds, the process of the 4 Ds when checking mostly your email, but also any sort of communication. And this is what I do. So it's in the morning, it's time for me to check all my communications. I open my email, and for each email that I have, I go through one of these 4 things. The first is delete. If it's garbage, delete it, and unsubscribe ideally. The second thing is do it. If it takes less than 2 minutes to respond, just go ahead right now and respond. The third thing is delegate. If you got an email and it wasn't really supposed to go to you, someone was asking you a question that it's better answered by like the press team, forward it off and delegate it to them. And then the last thing is defer. So if this is a really complicated task that's actually going to take you a lot of time and it's not going to just get done in your 30-minute email check in the morning, then add that to your Wonder list or whatever system you're using, make a note to schedule a time to do that task. So at this point, if you do that for each item on your inbox, all of them should be dealt with. And I highly recommend, as soon as you're done with it, archive that email out of your inbox or put it into a folder, whatever you need to do. Do not have an inbox that has thousands and thousands of messages in it because I find it very unruly. So you would look at it, you would respond or delete or delegate or defer, and then hide it away in some folder or archive it. And then in theory, your inbox will be at 0 after you do that. In practice, it never really gets down to 0. There's probably a couple things that are in there that you just haven't dealt with, but that is the goal. I try to keep my email under 20 at all times, not 20 unread, like 20 total in my inbox after I've done checking. I go through a similar process with those 4 Ds for any other system of communication that I use, like WhatsApp or Signal. And then my last tip is set realistic expectations. If you are the kind of person who always responds to emails right away, people are going to expect that. And then when you don't because you're busy, they're going to get upset. But if you set up people with realistic expectations that say, look, I'm probably going to get back to your email within a day or two, not within an hour or two, or I only check my WhatsApp like twice a day, so don't expect me to be on top of it right away, then you're setting people up for realistic expectations. And I think sometimes we kind of put ourselves in a bad place when we're really, really responsive, because that's what people are going to expect from you. And then it's going to spend a lot of your time just constantly responding to things instead of having these structured times. So set times aside, make use of the unread button, get rid of spam, set realistic expectations, and go through the 4Ds every time you check your email. And that is a great way to email and communication success. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that you can get your inbox down to less than 20.